Hey there. If you've ever found yourself saying, well, it works on my machine, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down how you can take your API tests out of your personal Postman app and plug them straight into your delivery pipeline. That way, you can prove they work everywhere automatically. Let's dive in.
Right? So we all want to move fast, right? Ship new features, iterate quickly. But how do we do that without, breaking everything? How do you keep that safety net up? The real question we're tackling today is how to get both the speed and the safety, making sure our APIs are rock solid and reliable.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why this is so important. Then we'll open up the toolkit you're going to need. After that, we'll get practical with 2 real-world examples using Jenkins and then GitHub Actions. We'll also cover putting your tests on a schedule, and then we'll wrap it all up with a simple action plan so you can get started right away. All right, first up, let's lay down the foundation. Why is everyone talking about CI/CD, and how does it create the absolute perfect environment for automating our API tests? This slide just says it all. The old way on the left, that's the manual chaos, right? A developer hoping they remember to run some Postman tests before a big release. It's slow, it's easy to make mistakes. But the new way on the right, that's a smooth, automated system. The tests are just part of the process, running every single time the code changes. It's a total game changer. So let's cut through the jargon, starting with CI. Continuous integration. Think of it as the first part of your automated safety net. The most important phrase on this slide is right there in the middle. Automated tests. Every time a developer merges their code, a machine automatically kicks in and checks to make sure nothing broke. And that leads us directly to continuous delivery, or CD. See, once CI has done its job and proven that the code is stable and all the tests are passing, CD takes the baton and automatically gets that code ready for release. You just can't have reliable delivery without that solid foundation of continuous testing. So why is this like a superpower for your APIs? Well, you get feedback almost instantly. We're talking minutes, not days, to know if a commit just broke an important endpoint. That means you catch problems way earlier, long before they can impact a customer. It completely automates all that boring regression testing, which frees up your team to do more creative work. And at the end of the day, it just builds a fast, reliable pipeline you can actually trust. So what's actually in our toolkit for this? To make all this magic happen, you really only need 2 key things. This table draws a really important line in the sand. On one side, you've got Postman. That's the app you already know and use to build and manage your API tests right on your laptop. But on the other side, you've got Newman. Newman is the command line powerhouse that runs those exact same tests in your automated pipeline, where there's no screen or buttons to click. And this is basically the magic spell at the heart of the entire process. This one little command, Newman run, is pretty much all it takes. You're just telling Newman, hey, run this collection file, and maybe use this environment file for my variables. That's the secret sauce, right there. Okay, theory is great, but let's get practical. Let's see how this all plugs into a real-world tool that tons of companies use, Jenkins. The workflow in Jenkins is actually pretty straightforward. First, you get the tools set up on your server. Then you add your Postman files to your code repository right alongside your code. After that, you create a Jenkins job that runs our magic Newman command. And finally, you save the report so you can actually see the results. Now, if you're using a modern Jenkins pipeline, the code looks something like this. And don't worry about the groovy syntax. The only thing you need to focus on is that sh command right in the middle. See? It's just our Newman command running inside a pipeline stage. It's that simple. All right, so Jenkins is a classic, but let's look at another super popular and more modern option, GitHub Actions. This lets you run your workflows without having to manage any servers at all. And you're going to notice the principle here is identical, even though the syntax is now YAML. The important part is that run step, it's the exact same Newman command. And that's the key takeaway here. This concept is universal. The platform might change, but the command to run your tests stays the same. And this is where the power of this approach really shines. Your API tests just automatically run every single time code is pushed. The results are right there in your pull request for everyone to see. And honestly, the best part, you don't have to install, update, or maintain any servers. It all just runs in the cloud. Okay, so far we've covered running tests when code changes, but that's really only half the story. What about checking the health of your API on a regular schedule? Like a nightly health check. The best strategy really is to use both.
During the day, your tests are triggered by what developers are doing, a Git push, a pull request, but then you have a scheduled run, a nightly build, that kicks off when things are quiet, like at 2 a.m., to catch any sneaky regressions or infrastructure problems. And what if you want to schedule tests without even touching Jenkins or GitHub Actions? Well, Postman actually has a built-in feature for this called Monitors. You can literally just click a few buttons in the Postman app, set a schedule, and Postman's Cloud will run your tests for you and send you an alert if anything fails. It's super powerful automation, no CI/CD platform needed. Whew, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's get to the most important part. How can you actually get started with this right now? It really just boils down to these 4 steps. First, export your work from Postman. Second, get Newman installed. Third, and this is important, prove to yourself that you can run it locally from your own command line. Once that works, the final step is just adding those files to your repository and creating that simple little workflow file to run the exact same command in the cloud. And this quote just perfectly sums up the whole cultural shift. Automating your API tests isn't just about making things easier. It's about creating a single source of truth. It completely eliminates that classic developer excuse and replaces it with automated, objective proof that your system is working exactly as expected. So, I'll leave you with this question. The key to success here is to start small. Don't try to automate everything all at once. Just pick one critical user flow, one really important API collection, and start there. What's the very first test that you are going to automate and move into your pipeline?